Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Hard Money. We are set to go. Darren is standing by. We got so much to talk about today. We're going to have a guest on the air. Mauricio Londonio is going to be here, talk about some things. That's later on after segment one. But want to get into this right away. You want to reach out anytime to Darren and his team. Get investing, get into hard assets. If you haven't explored this particular avenue, get educated at least and make a decision from there. Really simple. 1-888-335-8645 and Delta Harbour with the U, Delta Harbour. .com, because it's all about you in the end, getting your portfolio expanded and getting some money in there, hedging your other investments and doing the right thing with hard assets. Really looking forward to Maurizio, Darren. But this first segment, want to talk about what you do best, hard assets. How's the week been, brother?
It's been a good week, Johnny. Thanks for the nice warm welcome and open. It's been a busy week. We've had a lot to discuss and really have to pare down where we're going to go on today's show. So we're going to be really compact to find and try to keep to the point. But it's been a fantastic week. There's a lot of news out there, and silver and gold in particular had good weeks. Silver trading, as we tape the show here, around just over the $26 US level, while gold is holding the 1770 level. Both look really good, really poised. As we said last week, I mean, this is the beginning of something big. And in particular today, we're going to pick on silver a little bit, but it has been a very busy week, to say the least. And I couldn't be happier that we're going to have the opportunity to speak with Maurizio. He's a fantastic individual. And when we get to the second segment, I'll introduce him and tell you all about it. But we've been partnered with Precious Metals International, the firm that he is the CEO of. And we have been working with them since 2004. And the relationship is brilliant. We've got a lot of YouTube footage in webinars that we've done with Maurizio in particular, and talking about ways to effectively invest in physical precious metals while keeping costs as low as possible. And really, they are our go-to partner right now for people looking to get into the precious metals markets in terms of having great storage options, great solutions for keeping the cost of your bullion as low as possible, especially in this atmosphere right now while premiums seem to rage higher. But we'll have some time to spend with him in the later segments of the show. And outside of that, my friend, we've had a really good week. I want to thank everybody that's come aboard and those listening. Welcome to Delta Harbour. We're so happy that people are looking at us, and this show is doing wonders so far in the short term.
Good. The momentum is growing for sure. And again, you can reach out Delta Harbour with the U, deltaharbour.com. Get a hold of Darren or a member of his crew anytime and at least have a chat, get a coffee and see how this fits into your particular portfolio. There's, if you read any newspaper, any social media in the business section, it doesn't have to be that. It can just be general social media. So much has been said about this marketplace and whether good or bad or what the economy actually looks like. And it's something you've touched on before. We're almost like, it's almost like an experiment, and we're the sacrificial lamb or the mice inside the, the wheel that are subject to this whole marketplace, test subjects, if you will. What are your thoughts about that, pal?
Well, I mean, this sets the tone for where we're heading. We talked about in the week and what we wrote in the newsletter about this being the new age, the dawning of a new super cycle in commodities in particular. It's very important to me because that's where we make money. And we've made a lot of money in the stock market. We've made a ton of money in real estate, but we've done so under artificial conditions. We've had artificially low interest rates. We've had, a ton of continuance in the market rallies around the world. Stock markets have bounced back from COVID lows last year and what were conceivably going to be possible big, long ruts or recessions, which I believe are still yet to come. And we've done so at the same time well, conditions have worsened underneath. So as we've always said over the years, Johnny, it's behind the headlines that matter. So these headlines come out, they paint the picture that things are fairly good. And for a lot of people, that might not be the case in dealing with COVID, and what the conditions of this marketplace have presented have been very tough for a lot of families. But mark my word, the time has come where you need to think about ensuring that wealth that you've made, diversifying your portfolio, and you need to look at what's happening. And we spoke last week about inflation and how it's rearing its ugly head. Yeah. And the talk of the town now is inflation. And in fact, we were ahead of that because we've been talking about inflation for the past 3-4 years now and how it has existed. But because of these artificially swept under the rug low numbers, this artificial artificially low interest rates and things of that nature, it's got side effects. And so we are the guinea pigs inside of the experiment. And this is a situation where I look across the broad market, and I suspect a lot of people are worried right now, like I am, about what's coming down the chute, what's coming down the pipe. And that inflation problem means essentially one thing. First, it's invisible, but more importantly, that it's only going to get worse with that we've undertaken. And if you look at just our neighbor south of the border in the US and here in Canada, the last 4 or 5 years have been topsy-turvy. We've gone from having the opinion that everything's getting back into shape, growth patterns are becoming far more organic, but lo and behold, COVID hits, and we dump, as Canada is concerned, we dump the largest amount in 1 year that we've ever done. And in fact, if you look at the headlines, they were correct. Trudeau just managed to spend in 12 months with this latest budget announcement more than the last 22 prime ministers combined in one shot. So ultimately, this has consequences. Part of those side effects are that those artificially low interest rates have pumped real estate multiple times higher than they should be. This is a market which is going to blow open. We're going to talk about that in a couple of weeks. We have new guests on, and my own experience as well we're going to bring to the table. But real estate prices are a prime example. People still have this FOMO mentality, this what we call fear of missing out mentality. They're still getting into these marketplaces and bidding up these properties, and it's crazy. And it really is. Even when you ask the average investor who understands real estate, has been participating in these markets for a long time, they don't feel okay with this. They're taking great risk, they believe, these buyers, in buying near the top of a market, which everybody agrees. And we see it in the technical data. The bond market is telling us that interest rates have to go higher. We know they can't stay at this low forever. And we've already seen them bounce back from what their lows were when some mortgage rates were below 1%, back up to 1.5% to 2% now. And stress tests, 5% if you're an uninsured buyer. They want to know that you can withstand up to 5%. So this is all happening underneath all of these headlines that we're getting true growth, that we're rebounding in the job market against what we think is a burgeoning problem. And this is the concern that we have. We have to know that if there are headlines telling us one thing and the data telling us something else, that the most important thing for us to do is protect our wealth. And to do that, we have to get into hard assets. And those hard assets include things we talk about. If you're going to buy real estate, be smart about it. You have to know where it's going. Buy land, buy something that can produce an income, but don't just risk it on one particular thing. So if we know this and it's going to happen, you know, we're going to have to take advantage of it. And it's part of why we're going to have Maurizio Londonio on here from PMI, Precious Metals International, in the next segment, because silver is about to explode. It's going to go through the roof. And I think this is going to be something that can make a ton of wealth for people if they're positioned appropriately.
We'll keep echoing that statement on every show. That's what you do best. We'll take that first short break and get to Maurizio in here in about a moment. But in the meantime, write this number down, keep it with you, make the phone call, have a chat with Darren and his team, and they'll get you down the road to expanding your portfolio with physical metals and other assets. 1-888-335-8645 is the number, and deltaharbor.com is where you want to go online. That's Delta Harbor with a U as well. We'll continue back with more hard money. It's on the way right here on Sauga 960. And welcome back to Hard Money here on Sauga 960. Reaching out anytime, as you know, write this number down, have a chat. You should be interested in this, and you should expand your knowledge as well. 1-888-335-8645 to get hold of Darren Long and his team, and deltaharbor.com. That's Harbor with a U, deltaharbor.com, to learn more about these hard assets. And talk about hard assets, guest on the show today, Darren Maurizio Londonio from PMI Precious Metals International. You've been working with him for years, and we want to get into this conversation for the next few segments. So take it away, pal.
Well, Maurizio Londonio is the CEO of Precious Metals International. They are a bullion wholesale company that's been operating globally for the past 20 years, of which I've had a partnership with them in terms of services. And like Delta Harbor, they are also experts in buying and selling, logistics, storage, and bullion knowledge. And of course, whenever I have the chance to speak with him, I always take it and jump at it because he's on the inside. He's down in the trenches, and I love welcoming to the show, and we do webinar series with them and everything. But without further ado, let's welcome Maurizio Londonio. Well, Maurizio, it's nice to have you at the show again here. This is a new show for us, a new radio station, and an opportunity to reach out to our new listenership here at Sauga 960. And we've currently been investigating all kinds of different topics, which I think bear some discussion. And who better to discuss this with than somebody that I'm fortunate enough to say I've had a relationship with for the last 15, 16 years. And it's been a great relationship. We've been working professionally in the bullion industry. Precious Metals International, as we said in the introduction, is a fantastic company that has partnered with us and offered us such an open window to the precious metals marketplace and to the whole industry. And so I'm very happy to have you here, Maurizio. And obviously, thank you for your time. I know you're busy. It is a new dawn, so to speak, in the metals industry, once again on the cusp of a new super cycle. And I was writing about it this week, and I thought, we better have Maurizio on at some point, because this is a fantastic way to get our listeners more acquainted to one of the options that we feature at Delta called the bulk bullion option. So I thought, well, let's kill two birds with one stone, a little bit of a market update and a discussion with a longtime friend and colleague and somebody that I trust very much in the bullion industry. So with that being said, Maurizio, if you don't mind, let's just go into some questions about the things that we've been discussing over the last little while.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, I think that the first and obvious question is people are going to hear the term PMI International. And I think to get started, it would be beneficial for our listeners and everybody to understand what PMI and who PMI is a little bit better. And maybe you can talk about your relationship with us at Delta and how you work.
Absolutely. As you said, we've been working together for 16 years plus. PMI has been in business for 20 years. This year is going to mark our 20th year in business. Precious Metals International is a wholesale broker of precious metals bullion products. We provide brokers like Delta Harbour with a solution to trade and independently store their clients' bullion. We also offer access to a line of credit utilizing the bullion as collateral. In general, we provide brokers and dealers with an advanced, secure, and efficient way to fulfill gold, silver, platinum, and palladium trades and store them in different stable jurisdictions.
And I mean, for us, that's quite an important distinction, and we'll delve into that a little bit further. But you mentioned the idea of being in a stable jurisdiction. People don't really give too much concern to this, but the bullion industry works in both stable and non-stable environments around the world. Fortunately, here in Canada and working with Precious Metals International, we tend to overlook that, the fact that we work in very stable environments. And with Precious Metals International, we give people the opportunity to have an excellent infrastructure in place to hold physical assets and to be able to trade them, buy them, sell them, get exposure to them, but also to have those metals, if they so choose to, in different parts of the world, which is another important part of the process. Many people, and quite often we overlook the idea that precious metals can be held in other places around the world that are very stable, but will require partners like Precious Metals International. The term we throw around the most, Maurizio, here at Delta when we're talking with clients and the options that they have with Precious Metals International is bulk bullion. And I think that sometimes, especially more recently with the discussions that have been ongoing in the community, about supply and demand and where bullion actually is and may not be. That term bulk bullion is one that doesn't get enough attention. And it's certainly an option for us that we've been using. I've personally been having clients involved in bulk bullion accounts since 2004, and it's been fantastic. It's been an absolute privilege to be able to have this. But again, most people don't understand what it is. They see it on our website. They hear the term bulk bullion. Maybe you could discuss and break down what it is and maybe perhaps what its advantages are.
Absolutely. Bulk means wholesale. Basically, bulk bullion refers to bullion product held through PMI's bulk bullion custody service and represents an interest, a specific quantity in non-allocated PMI's overall inventory holdings in all of our depositories. Through bulk bullion, clients purchase and own some physical ounces of our inventory, and they don't have to pay for the fabrication premiums at the time of the purchase. Those premiums that we know have gotten out of control for the last year. So especially in the last year, it has been happening that this is out of control. So bulk bullion comes into play because this form of bullion or holding bullion in this fashion offers a flexible and cost-effective way to invest in precious metals because it improves liquidity and provides a fair pricing for the product in all markets, in all market conditions. Like for example, right now when we have these shortages of a smaller product, and it's very expensive to buy and hold a smaller product, bulk bullion offers a better cost-effective solution to it.
Okay, well, listen. Sorry, Mauricio, keep going.
One more thing. Of course, upon payment of applicable differences in premiums, shipping and handling fees, customers can convert their bulk bullion holdings to allocated specific types of bars and then take delivery of it at any time.
Right. And that's exactly what I wanted to say. When we come back from break, I'm going to throw back to John here. But when we come back from the break, let's talk about the difference between that and obviously how easy it is to make that decision to make those switches. Maybe sometimes people do want to take delivery of smaller bars or larger bars and a combination of both, or even different types of product. We'll talk more about that. But for now, John, I'll throw it back to you and we'll take a break and come right back with more from Mauricio.
Guys, good stuff. We got to take a short break. Lots more coming up. In the meantime, 1-888-335-8645 to get a hold of Darren and the crew at Delta Harbour. Online, deltaharbor.com. That's Harbor with a U because it is all about you. We're going to have Mauricio stick around for a couple more segments, so we'll do that. And lots more hard money is on the way right here on Sauga 960. And welcome back. Hard Money. Love having you along for the show. If this is your first time and you're interested, you want to reach out how to bolster your portfolio with hard assets. Really simple. 1-888-335-8645 to get a hold of Darren and his team. You will not regret it. Go online as well to deltaharbor.com. Harbor with a U, deltaharbor.com. Let's get back into this, Darren, talking with our good pal Mauricio Londonio from PMI. We'll continue and pick it up.
Well, thanks again, John, for the introduction, and welcome back to the Hard Money Show by Delta Harbour Assets. And obviously, we are definitely excited about having the opportunity to speak with Mauricio Londonio from Precious Metals International. Great first segment, lots to be covered, but essentially we dealt with what is bulk bullion and its advantages, and obviously there are many. The question that stemmed from that first segment, Mauricio, that I'd like to ask you, if you don't mind, when we're buying bulk bullion, and let's just say it's silver, for example, and client wants to buy 1,000 ounces of bulk bullion through the bulk bullion account, who owns the bullion when an individual buys 1,000 ounces?
That's a great question, Darren. Ownership and title is transferred to the client at the time of purchase. And there is a confirmation ticket that comes with it. A copy of that is sent to the client with a copy to the broker, and the client owns the metal. The only that PMI would have a lien on that product is basically to get paid for the storage fees, or
right.
If the client decides to use the line of credit, PMI creates a lien for enough a portion of that metal to basically cover their storage and interest fees. That's all there is to it. If the client wants to take delivery, they just have to pay whatever is owed to PMI and they take delivery of it, or if they want to sell and take their money home, same thing, PMI is gonna get paid for whatever is owed, and then they have their net proceeds.
Right. In your experience, Maurizio, has that, I mean, again, I've been helping clients to store product through PMI accounts and non-PMI accounts alike for a long time, and Delta does this every week. Has there been much in the way of concern about clients for their storage, or clients that if they choose to use and extend their purchases using the collateral financing option, is there and has there been much in terms of a concern with people not paying their bills, so to speak? I mean, we don't usually get that happening, so it's not, I would say, very infrequent, maybe doesn't even ever happen, that a client wouldn't be able to cover their storage bills or anything of that nature. Quite typically, it's not an issue, right?
It has never happened. I mean,
Right.
I can't speak for a particular situation of a client that is closing their account.
Mhm.
If they choose to close their account, we don't really know what's the motivation for that. It may be that they are short in cash, and when they do close their account, or they take delivery of their product, all they have to cover is whatever is owed to PMI or the broker, and they retain title and ownership to that product. We have never had any issues in 20 years.
Right. And I've loved it because of the stability of the account, because of the stability of the relationship we have with PMI, and because the fact that you work with Hallmark Refinery product. You also work with storage facilities, the same as we do when we're not even using PMI accounts, that are the best around the world. And some of those are right here locally in Toronto, and others around the world are world-class vaulting depositories that have all kinds of features in place that support the client and give reassurance that they're working with quality institutions. So that's very important to remember that as a client. Now, Maurizio, one thing I would say here is that lately we've heard a lot through social platforms, through movements like the Wall Street Silver movement, and many other various different types of voices that are jumping up and talking about lack of supply. And I know that during COVID in the last year, we have had some delay in product because of COVID. There has been less manpower available to create product, and less coming from the mines means that it takes longer to get it to market. But on the whole, and this is probably very contrarian, what are your thoughts or experience in terms of supply issues? Is there really a supply issue in your opinion when it comes to gold and silver?
We've been dealing with that a lot lately. Darren, in general, the gold and silver markets have plenty of supply, at least in industrial form. There is a record number of ounces of silver at the London and COMEX vaults right now. It's not the same with palladium, but palladium is a completely different
Sure.
Discussion. At least for gold and silver, the market is very well supplied. Now, however, the pandemic has created a fabrication issue for refiners because they have been working on their limited capacity for the last year. So what they were able to do in 3 shifts, now they're only able to run 1/3 of that.
Right.
The consequence is that a small retail product like coins and small bars have not been produced at the same rate as before. Therefore, the supply of those smaller denominations have not been enough to meet the enormous demand. And we can also discuss the reasons for that enormous demand later. However,
Obviously.
PMI, we have priority lines with large
Right.
deposits and refiners, and basically we are able to fulfill orders. We have delivered every single ounce of clients' product during the last year with a delay of no more than 3 weeks. And for bulk bullion or industrial bars, no issue whatsoever. We are on 24, 48 hours settlement on that product.
Right. And again, that's my experience for forever. since we've been working together back since 2004. There's never been really any serious type of delay and never been a concern. And yes, some products are tighter than others. Small bar forms, it's difficult to get 1 ounce bars right now, certainly. But again, we can't impact that outcome when refiners decide to choose other types of bars that that they want to focus on. 100-ounce bars in silver or in gold, they might not want to produce as many small bar forms, maybe less kilo bars, whatever the case may be. But ultimately, I do support that contrarian view that product is available. It can be had. Delayed delivery times are not an issue. They've always been the same. Some product comes very fast within, a few days. But ultimately, it all depends on what the client's ordering and when they're ordering it. But there has not been the same experience on our end at Delta, and certainly through Precious Metals International, that same thing. So, Maurizio, I would ask, if you don't mind, we'd like to go into another segment, more to ask of you and more insight. And again, we want to poke where the product value is going. Where is silver and gold going? Is it going higher? Do you think, we stand a good chance here to see another super cycle? Perhaps the price of gold and silver hit new all-time highs very soon. That and much, much more. But if you wouldn't mind staying, we'd like to come back and do one more segment. And I'll throw it back to John. John, we'll go to break. And then obviously let's come back and talk more with Maurizio Londoño, the CEO of Precious Metals International.
Guys, again, time for a small break. We have so much more to talk about in the remainder of this hour, but I'll get the numbers out before we go to break here again. 1-888-335-8645 is the number to reach Darren and his team at Delta Harbour. Online at deltaharbor.com as well. We'll continue. This is Hard Money on Sauga 960. All right, time for a short break here, so we'll get to that. In the meantime, if you haven't got the number already, I'll give it to you one more time. 1-888-335-8645, deltaharbor.com, Harbor with a U, to reach out and do some reading, some investigating, how to improve your portfolio with some hard assets. That's what we talk about with Darren here every week of the show. So we'll do exactly that. Moving on. Still got a few more minutes here. Darren, back with Maurizio Londoño from PMI.
All right, thanks again, John. And for those that don't know, we are having a discussion today with Maurizio Londoño, the CEO of Precious Metals International, guidance, opinions on where the market's going, talking about bulk bullion, and obviously this is physical gold and silver and other types of metals that we've discussed during the show. But this is something that Delta prides itself on, this relationship, this long-term relationship that I personally had with you, Maurizio, and it's done well for our clients. We've had so much positive feedback about the experience and the system that's in place that works and functions, and the way clients get a wonderful dashboard to log into and see and ultimately know exactly where they stand at any given moment. The storage has been great. Conversion to other types of fabricated bars, if they have a bulk bullion account and would instead like to hold serialized 100-ounce bars from the RCM, well, that option is there. We can do that. There's lots of real good positives that happen when you have an open relationship like this. But obviously, there are some risks associated with investment, like any other investment, and certainly beyond silver and gold and the risks that are associated with the metals markets. Are there any risks that you might be able to share with us that are typically associated with bulk bullion accounts through PMI?
Darren, one of the key advantages of dealing with physical bullion is that you eliminate the counterparty risk.
Right.
When you buy physical bullion, you have the product in your hands, and
Right.
nobody else has to perform on its value. That leaves the market risk, the fact that prices could go up or they could go down, as the only risk.
Well, again, that to me says that if a person is doing their due diligence, they know that this is the type of account they want to open. They want to own physical precious metals. They want liquidity. They want the ability to be able to buy and sell their metals. They want to work with firms that have been around for a long time, and they want quality in the product that they're owning. This is ultimately the best way I can think of to get a person into this market right now, especially given that there has been a lot of costs associated with premiums that don't need to be had if you're using a bulk bullion account. Now, on the heels of that, obviously, we are talking about buying and selling. How easy is it to buy and sell once you've opened an account with Precious Metals International or through Delta with PMI?
Well, you know how it's been. Brokers have access to our electronic platform anytime. They can trade their clients' products as long as there is a market open. And if the electronic medium is not functioning correctly for whatever reason, we are always available on the phone. And we have lines open in all markets to process trades.
And it's very interesting, to be honest with you, because there is a significant gap of knowledge when it comes to how best to own precious metals. A lot of people buy, obviously, paper products. Some in the old days, a lot of people. Do you feel personally, having been involved in this market for as long as you have, that owning the physical asset is the best way to get exposure to gold and silver?
That's the way that I defend in terms of risk management. Correct.
Right.
Owning precious metals. Every single analyst in the world is going to tell you that you should own a portion of your net worth in physical precious metals. 5%, 10%. They go as much as 20 sometimes. Right now, if you own it in through a derivative, through a futures market, through a stock in a precious metals company, then you are basically making yourself liable to someone else's commitment, to someone else's performance. If you own it in physical form, you are getting rid of all of that risk outside of the market, outside of whatever the price can do.
Right. Well, listen, we have a couple of minutes left, Maurizio. Obviously, we would be remiss if we didn't discuss where we think gold and silver are going. Our listeners obviously want to, and are excited as we are, but want to know where silver and gold are going. Now, although we don't make a habit of specifically putting prices on silver and gold, I wrote recently and support the notion that we are in a new super cycle for commodities. And I believe that this is going to change fundamentally how we view the importance of physical assets inside of a portfolio. So with that being said, what are your thoughts over the next few years? Is this as exciting for you as it is for us? And do you believe that we do stand a good chance of seeing silver, gold prices, precious metals prices much, much higher in the future?
Darren, the gold and silver markets have a bright future for many reasons. We have to deal with geopolitical issues that have been with us for decades, but now they're getting worse and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. Now in the last year, especially in the last year, we have this monetary expansion that has come into play, in part because of the response to the pandemic. But we need to deal with that at some point, and it will obviously create inflation. There is no other way around it, and it will create a distortion, a decrease in the how do you call it, in the purchasing power for individuals. So if you really want to protect your purchasing power, you need to be allocating a portion of your net worth into these kind of assets. We definitely are at the beginning of stages of the following super cycle in commodities, and this one is going to take a decade or even more into the future.
Well, I mean, that makes me excited about the opportunities that lie ahead. And if you're listening to this show, obviously an opportunity for you as a listener to be involved and get exposure, own precious metals, lots of different ways to do it. But we today talked about, in particular, bulk bullion and the option of working through Delta Harbour Assets with Precious Metals International. Maurizio, it's always a pleasure to be able to speak with you and ask these questions and communicate on this level with you. And we want to thank you for your time. And obviously, we look forward to speaking with you again very soon.
Darren, thank you. It was a pleasure being here. Good luck with everything.
All right, guys, one short break before we got some other things to discuss. Darren, want to thank Maurizio Londonio again for coming by from PMI. You want to reach out and have a further conversation with Darren and his team about that or anything else having to do with your portfolio and hard assets. 1-888-335-8645 and deltaharbor.com. Short break, right back to conclude the show for today right here on Sauga 960. Hey, welcome back to Hard Money. John Scholes here, of course, along with Darren Long from Delta Harbour. That's Delta Harbour with a U, deltaharbor.com. If you want to reach out, say on the phone number anytime to start the education, the conversation, and expanding your already established portfolio with hard assets. 1-888-335-8645. Darren, love Maurizio Londonio from PMI. Great guy, great knowledge. And I know, of course, why you had him on, because you've known him and been working with him for so long with PMI as well. What'd you think?
Well, it's a lot to digest,
Yep.
John, but for us, it's ultimately the one of the best ways we can think of being involved in the marketplace. Because you got to remember, not everybody wants to have physical gold or silver in their possession, in their garage or in their home or in an unsafe or unsecure location. Some people just want exposure to it, but they want physical. Don't want paper. They don't want, other options that people take and certificates and things like that. They still want physical, and they still want to know that, hey, listen, if the day comes where for some reason or other, I might need to take this and have it in my possession, I have that option to do that. And PMI for us is the best bang for the buck, because it really does give us an opportunity, especially under these conditions where premiums on very small bars, 1 ounce gold bars and 1 ounce silver bars and 10 ounce silver bars, they've become much higher than normal due to the supply demand imbalance, where on paper, we're being told one story that supply is plentiful, but behind the scenes, the small bar availability is very limited. And so you're getting this huge discrepancy. And we've seen it before back in 2008, 2011, whereby, the paper price that's posted for silver or gold every night is nowhere near what you're paying for the price of an ounce of that product. So we like, and have been working with PMI for so long, we like to establish opportunity for clients to have ways to be involved in this market, and not to be just single-minded with that one approach that the only way to do this is to take bullion home. That's fine for some people, and a lot of people want that option. But for those that want exposure to it and physical, that's the best way that we can put them into the market. This is ultimately the time to do it. And we're at the beginning, as Maurizio said, of a new development. This is a super cycle. It's going to take us maybe 10, 15 years into the future. And in particular, today, we've been talking about silver, we're talking about the artificial numbers, that a lot of which have been swept under the rug in terms of inflation and low interest rates. These are all things that bolster the long-term price for gold and silver. And I think silver right now is so undervalued, John. I think it's going to go through the roof. And I think the next 4 or 5 years, silver gets into triple digits. So from a value perspective, from an investment perspective, from whatever perspective you can think of, protection, wealth, insurance, this is a fantastic opportunity for you to take and lighten the load in other asset categories from your portfolios that have been involved in stock, real estate. Lighten that load, put something into this that's going to, again, make you a ton of money.
Well, I mean, it's no surprise, and you've been saying this for years, and all the years that I've been working with you, that silver is your favorite metal. But based on back on what we talked about in the first segment with the economy and inflation, what people have been told in media, a lot of people just don't have the knowledge. They've got the blinders on, or they've got tunnel vision. So how do you take advantage of that current situation?
Well, there are some simple things that we can do. And today I prepared an example of how to own, let's say, for example, 1,000 ounces of silver. And in particular, I looked at 3 different avenues for doing it. And it gives clients choice, and choice is good, but also it allows us to look at the way in which people are currently doing it. Now, in terms of knowing this about silver and gold, it's not only just a combination of numbers that are being swept under the rug and the lies that we're being fed day to day, week to week about how the economy is actually standing.
Right.
The money printing, the technical data, all that stuff that we look at, it's all playing a role in determining where these hard assets will go in the future and their value. One example of which, if you look at the M2 money supply in the US, and it's astronomical, is 1.9 trillion, and that's meaningless in the grand scheme of things. Suffice to say, the US is discontinuing the posting of that information. They don't want you to know that they're printing that much money. And I sure as heck know it's difficult to find out how much is being printed in Canada as well. But we are on a path that I don't think we can come back from unless we make smarter decisions. So knowing all of this data, having it before us, applying it to the notion of ownership with silver and gold, how do you do it? Well, listen, you can open up an account and take direct delivery. You can open up an account and you You can also put it into your TFSA, RRSPs, other types of registered accounts, or you have the option of the bulk bullion, like Maurizio discussed earlier. Now, in the example where we're working with Precious Metals International, we really have three choices. One, we could buy 1,000 ounces of silver, which, let's say for the example, is 10 100-ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bars, absolutely world-class, standard in purity, in weight, and the best among the best in the world. Right. Those 10 bars would cost us today around 37,000 Canadian. And to double our money, the price of silver has to go from where it is now at around $26 an ounce up to 52. Now, that's just on a gross level. We just look at it from a plain money in, money out perspective. We want to double our money. It has to go up to 52. Now, if we believe it's going to go to 52, there are other ways to do this that might be more advantageous and, in fact, afford you even more bullion for the same outlay or less. The second option you have using Precious Metals International through Delta Harbour Assets is to buy that same 1,000 ounces of silver using the bulk bullion program at a cost which is around, give or take, about $2,500 less. It only costs you around $34,500. That's a savings that's huge. That's $2,500 worth of silver that you could buy in addition to what you were going to originally purchase. You have the option to store it. And convert it at any time if you want smaller bars, if you want to take it home in 10-ounce bars or 100-ounce bars. You didn't pay the high premiums up front for that, or you can leave it as it is and just enjoy where the market goes and heads from there. But in that same example, you don't need the market to double. It needs to do less, in fact, in order to double your money. And that's just one of those hallmark things we talk about in investing. How do we double our money? But you may want to hold on to it for a longer time, a greater period of time, and that's fine. Also have to think about the third option, which is now that we have bullion in there, we have the option of collaterally financing the product. That means if we want to, we can use that 1,000 ounces as collateral and put up a lot less. And in that example, you'd only be putting up 8,600 Canadian. So instead of 37,000, you could put up as little as 8,600 Canadian. You own and control that same 1,000 ounces, except now the market only has to move up, give or take around $6.85, which we've already been to many a times. We've already seen the price above 30 in there, and it's a target price that we're capable of achieving in the next month. It could happen. It could happen any day. It's not a new range that we've been to, but the opportunity is there. So if people want to take that, we'll post those three examples and offer them to anyone listening. And obviously we'll do that. And that collateral financing, again, a third option, which we don't talk about much, but is afforded to us through an account with Delta using the services of Precious Metals International. So this is Money Making 101, and there are options for everyone involved.
Yeah, it's interesting, that third option. We've talked about that in the past as well, the collateral investment. That for some reason sounds really, really attractive to me. Maybe it's the 8,600 versus the 30,000 plus, but is there a plus minus advantage to doing either one, or is it totally bespoke depending on who's investing and what they want to do?
Well, I think it comes down to risk. I mean, what are you willing to risk, right? If I lay out 8,600, that's my risk. If I lay out 37,000, that's my risk. And every investment carries with it risk, John. But the idea that we could lay out a lot less means, hey, we can keep our powder dry. We can take less risk up front while still controlling that same amount of bullion. We have the option to be in that market and using whatever growth we have at any given time to add more product to our account using the same process without dipping into our pocket. The collateral financing option is a brilliant one for those that can afford it and that know and have examined and done their due diligence, the risks. And obviously, we can optimize this for any type of client. It doesn't have to be 1,000 ounces. It could be 10,000 ounces. It could be 100,000 ounces. Just depends on the client and what they're willing or want to accomplish. And listen, people come to us every day, John, and say, listen, I know I'd like to invest. And I say, well, what are your goals? Do you want a cottage? Are you looking to buy the new boat? Are you looking to get a second investment property? What are you looking to do? So they really have to think hard about what it is they do. And sometimes this fits perfectly because they'll be given the opportunity on short bursts in the market with silver, the way it's so undervalued right now, to look at pulling money out of this account, to use it in other ways to bolster their already excellent portfolios. And if not, come right to us and we can start from square one. But any of these options is available. We're all about physical product, and we'd love for you to come to the website and talk to us to find out more.
Another excellent show, my friend, and we're going to wrap it up from there. Again, thank you, Maurizio Londonio from PMI for his time this afternoon. Some great stuff. You got to make that phone call if this all sounds new to you or if you're familiar with it. Either way, 1-888-335-8645 and deltaharbor.com, Harbor with the U. Expand your portfolio if you've never gone down this avenue before of hard assets that you can hold in your hand. Have a look, have a listen, and do some more research, but do it with Darren and his crew. Again, one more time, 1-888-335-8645 and deltaharbor.com. We'll catch you next time right here, Hard Money on Sauga 960.